here in Washington, D.C., we've got this strange guy in town. And, back in 2002, he came to the United States and he spoke before Congress. And he said, and I quote, "If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations in the region." Bibi Netanyahu, 2002, speaking before the United States House of Representatives, United States Congress, as a private citizen. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have an enormous positive reverberations on the region. Right, so we took out Saddam's regime and replaced it with a largely Shia regime, which caused all the Sunnis who were, the army was almost entirely Sunni because, Saddam had organized things that way. You had to be a Ba'ath Party member, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And so the Sunnis then developed this kind of underground network and started fighting back. And a good chunk, probably in the country of Iraq, probably 70, 80% of the people who call themselves Islamic State or ISIS or ISIL or whatever are the old Iraqi army. So it's sort of like, okay, you want to hear Netanyahu's speech? Just go back to 2002 and listen to any of George Bush's speeches. It's the same guy. Bibi Netanyahu, George W. Bush, neocons, right-wingers, people who believe that war solves problems. This, to me, this is just astonishing that the Prime Minister of Israel would take an American Republican political operative who was the protege of Frank Luntz and have him renounce his American citizenship, so his citizenship is exclusively Israeli, and then become the Israeli ambassador to the United States. Ron Dermer, I believe his name is. And then have his ambassador negotiate with the Republican Speaker of the House without informing the president, without informing anybody, to come and make another sales pitch to Congress. For what? One thing that I find fascinating, this is an Israeli news agency this morning. I have this via Victoria Jones from the Talk Radio News Service in her daily newsletter to the press. She writes, an Israeli news agency has cited a Kuwaiti newspaper report claiming that President Obama thwarted an Israeli military attack against Iran's nuclear facilities in 2014, last year, by threatening to shoot down Israeli jets before they could reach their targets in Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly forced to abort the planned Iraq attack. The Israeli news agency is the Israel National News. You like neocons. Apparently you like Bibi and you like John. And frankly, it's not Iran. Here's my little editorial opinion piece. Netanyahu is not here, as far as I can tell. I mean, time may prove that I'm wrong. But Netanyahu is not here to say we have to do something to or about Iran. Now, keep in mind, Iran has signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Agreement. They are enriching uranium, but only to the level necessary for their nuclear power plants, which they want to have as a member of the modern world. Keep in mind, Barack Obama just went over to India, and what kind of a deal did he work out with President Modi? Hey, have some nuclear power plants. That's what we do. We've got very, very large corporations that make large political contributions to both parties. So our politicians go overseas. What do? They sell nuclear power plants. Iran has one. Everybody has one, it seems. It's a stupid way to make electricity, but what can you say? But Netanyahu is not to the best of my knowledge, I mean, we'll find out tomorrow, I suppose, when he speaks before Congress. He spoke this morning before AIPAC. To the best of my knowledge, he's not here to say, let's blow up Iran's nuclear facilities, as apparently he tried to do last year and Obama stopped him. This is not about that, at least as far as we can tell. It is not about, hey, United States, would you join me in doing this? No, apparently all it is he doesn't want us having to deal with Iran. It's coming across, it seems, at least to me, it seems like what's really going on here, what he's really saying is we don't want you to have a relationship with this country, with Iran. This country that we view as a competitor/enemy in the region. In fact, what he said, I mean, this is the exact quote, he said earlier this morning, "We are strongly opposed to the agreement being formulated between the world powers and Iran that could endanger Israel's very existence." Yeah, it's not going to endanger Israel's very existence. Israel, by the way, has lots and lots of nuclear weapons. And I really don't think that even the craziest of the Ayatollahs are suicidal. And they have issued a fatwa, a religious ruling, saying that nuclear weapons are a violation of Islam, that Iran would never build nuclear weapons. And so far, it looks like they're keeping to that. Here's where it gets really interesting. A group inside Israel, former commanders of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, their army, Mossad, their intelligence, their equivalent of the CIA, Shin Bet, and the Israeli police blast Netanyahu for his speech to Congress. This is what Major General Amnon Reshef, and by the way, why aren't we hearing all the things that I just shared with you? Why aren't we seeing this on our television? Major General Amnon Reshef, former head of the Israeli Army's Armored Corps, on behalf of 200 top Israeli generals and top security officials, said, and I quote, "When the Israeli Prime Minister argues that his speech will stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, he is not only misleading Israel, he is strengthening Iran." 200 retired Israeli generals and top security officials. A lot of people in Israel very embarrassed today by their prime minister and our Republican Speaker of the House, and Frank Luntz, by what's going on here.